வாசிக்கப்பட வேண்டிய வேத பகுதி யாத்திராகமம் 3ஆம் அதிகாரம் 1 தொடக்கம் 15வது வசனம் வரைக்கும். Exodus 3:1-15. மோசே மீதியான் தேசத்து ஆசாரியனாய் இருந்த தன் மாமனாகிய எத்ரோயாவின் ஆடுகளை மேய்த்து வந்தான். அவன் ஆடுகளை வனாந்திரத்தின் பின்புறத்திலே ஓட்டி தேர்வ பர்வதமாய ஒரேப் மட்டும் வந்தான். அங்கே கர்த்தருடைய தூதனானவர் ஒரு முட்செடியின் நடுவில் இருந்து உண்டான அக்கினி ஜுவாலையிலே நின்று அவனுக்கு தரிசனமானார். அப்பொழுது அவன் உற்று பார்த்தான். முட்செடி அக்கினியால் ஜுவாலித்து எரிந்தும் அது வெந்து போகாமல் இருந்தது. அப்பொழுது மோசே, இந்த முட்செடி வெந்து போகாதிருக்கிறது என்ன? நான் கிட்ட போய் இந்த அற்புத காட்சியை பார்ப்பேன் என்றான். அவன் பார்க்கும்படி கிட்ட வருகிறதை கர்த்தர் கண்டார். முட்செடியின் நடுவில் இருந்து தேவன் அவனை நோக்கி, மோசே மோசே என்று கூப்பிட்டார். அவன், இதோ அடியேன் என்றான். அப்பொழுது அவர், இங்கே கிட்டிச் சேராயாக, உன் கால்களில் இருக்கிற பாதரட்சையை கலற்றி போடு, நீ நிற்கிற இடம் பரிசுத்த பூமி என்றார். பின்னும் அவர், நான் ஆபிரகாமின் தேவனும் ஈசாக்கின் தேவனும் யாக்கோப்பின் தேவனுமாகிய உன் பிதாக்களுடைய தேவனாயிருக்கிறேன் என்றார். மோசே தேவனை நோக்கி பயந்ததினால் தன் முகத்தை மூடிக்கொண்டான். அப்பொழுது கர்த்தர், எகிப்தில் இருக்கிற என் ஜனத்தின் உபத்திரவத்தை நான் பார்க்கவே பார்த்து ஆளோட்டிகளின் நிமித்தம் அவர்கள் இடுகிற கூக்குரலை கேட்டேன். அவர்கள் படுகிற வேதனைகளையும் அறிந்திருக்கிறேன். அவர்களை எகிப்தியரின் கைக்கு விடுதலையாக்கவும் அவர்களை அந்த தேசத்திலிருந்து நீக்கி கானானியரும் ஏத்தியரும் எமோரியரும் பெருசியரும் ஏவியரும் எபூசியரும் இருக்கிற இடமாய பாலும் தேனும் ஓடுகிற நலமும் விலாசமுமான தேசத்திலே கொண்டு போய் சேர்க்கவும் இறங்கினேன். இப்பொழுது இஸ்ரவேல் புத்திரரின் கூக்குரல் என் சந்நிதியில் வந்து எட்டினது. எகிப்தியர் அவர்களை ஒடுக்குதலையும் கண்டேன். நீ இஸ்ரவேல் புத்திரராகிய என் ஜனத்தை எகிப்திலிருந்து அழைத்து வரும்படி உன்னை பார்வோனிடத்துக்கு அனுப்புவேன் வா என்றார். அப்பொழுது மோசே தேவனை நோக்கி, பார்வோனிடத்துக்கு போகவும் இஸ்ரவேல் புத்திரரை எகிப்து தேசத்திலிருந்து அழைத்து வரவும் நான் எம்மாத்திரம் என்றார். அதற்கு அவர், நான் உன்னோட இருப்பேன். நீ ஜனத்தை எகிப்திலிருந்து அழைத்து வந்த பின் நீங்கள் இந்த மலையிலே தேவனுக்கு ஆராதனை செய்வீர்கள். நான் உன்னை அனுப்பினேன் என்பதற்கு இதுவே அடையாளம் என்றார். அப்பொழுது மோசே தேவனை நோக்கி, நான் இஸ்ரவேல் புத்திரரிடத்தில் போய் உங்கள் பிதாக்களுடைய தேவன் உங்களிடத்தில் என்னை அனுப்பினார் என்று அவர்களுக்கு சொல்லும் போது அவருடைய நாமம் என்ன என்று அவர்கள் என்னிடத்தில் கேட்டால் நான் அவர்களுக்கு என்ன சொல்லுவேன் என்றார். அதற்கு தேவன், இருக்கிறவராகவே இருக்கிறேன் என்று மோசேயுடனே சொல்லி, இருக்கிறேன் என்பவர் என்னை உங்களிடத்துக்கு அனுப்பினார் என்று இஸ்ரவேல் புத்திரரோட சொல்வாயாக என்றார். மேலும் தேவன் மோசேயை நோக்கி, ஆபிரகாமின் தேவனும் ஈசாக்கின் தேவனும் யாக்கோப்பின் தேவனுமாயிருக்கிற உங்கள் பிதாக்களுடைய தேவனாகிய கர்த்தர் என்னை உங்களிடத்துக்கு அனுப்பினார் என்று நீ இஸ்ரவேல் புத்திரருக்கு சொல்வாயாக. என்றைக்கும் இதுவே என் நாமம், தலைமுறை தலைமுறை தோறும் இதுவே என் பெயர் பிரஸ்தாபம். வாசிக்கப்பட வேண்டிய வேத பகுதி இன்றைக்கு.
The Gospel reading is from John 10:29-39. For my Father has given them to me, and he is more powerful than anyone else. No one can snatch them from the Father's hand. The Father and I are one. Once again, the people picked up stones to kill him. Jesus said, "At my Father's direction, I have done many good works. For which one are you going to stone me?" They replied, "We are stoning you not for any good work, but for blasphemy. You, a mere man, claim to be God." Jesus replied, "It is written in your own scriptures that God said to certain leaders of the people, 'I say you are gods,' and you know that the scriptures cannot be altered. So if those people who receive God's message were called gods, little g, why do you call it blasphemy when I say, 'I am the Son of God'? After all, the Father set me apart and sent me into the world. Don't believe me unless I carry out my Father's work. But if I do his work, believe in the evidence of the miraculous works I have done. Even if you don't believe me, then you will know and understand that the Father is in me, and I am in the Father." Once again, they tried to arrest him, but he got away and left them. This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Let's pray. Jesus, thank you for your word to us. We pray that you would continue filling us with your Holy Spirit, that we might understand your truth and see your light in our lives. Amen. So good morning. I'm Rev Steve, if you've not met me before. We've been looking at the Gospel of John since the start of the summer, and we've made our way now to John chapter 10. So, pop quiz. What's happened so far? So we've done, this is about our 10th week. 10th, 11th? I'm not sure we've done 2 weeks on one chapter at all. So, what do you remember? What have we had in John's Gospel so far? Go on, Zoe. Jesus healing the blind man. So last week and the week before that, we had a man who was blind since he was born. And that fantastic story of Jesus spitting in mud and then rubbing it on the man's eyes and sending him to wash in the river and his sight being healed. Okay, so we've had Jesus healing the man born blind. What else have we had?
Feeding of the 5,000.
The feeding of the 5,000. Thank you very much. Okay, that's fine. So next week we'll start with a recap of what's gone before. As we've been talking about John's Gospel, we've talked about the fact that the writer of John's Gospel isn't a journalist. He's not writing a newspaper, saying, today this happened, and today this happened. He's building up a picture of who Jesus is. And that means there are certain ideas, certain themes that keep coming back. It's kind of like these waves that come through to help John's orders to help us get our heads around who is Jesus. So, what are the themes that we've had? So one of them is John literally with a sledgehammer going, Jesus is God. All the way through. The first line of John's Gospel, in the beginning. You have this link between the creation of the world and Jesus. And then you have later on, in chapter 8, when Jesus is talking to the Jews, he says, before Abraham was born, I am. Now, we just had that reading from Exodus when Moses was at the burning bush and says, if I go to the Israelites and say, I'm from God, they won't believe me. What do I say? He said, tell them, I am sent you. So this verb, to be, I am, that's all God needs to say. Just, I am, the one who has always been. And so Jesus has said this about himself. And in today's reading, he says, the Father and I are one. He says, I am the Son of God. Now, you will see in chapters to come, this wave keeps coming back. John is not going to let us forget that Jesus is God. He is divine. He is the one who was there from the beginning, who has come down to bring us back into relationship with the Father. So Jesus is God all the way through John's Gospel. So the second theme is one of sacrifice. Actually, you've had all the way through this conversation about sacrifice, about the way that people come to God. When Jesus meets the woman at the well, the conversation they have is about, so where do we make our sacrifices? You Jews do it in Jerusalem, but we do it on this mountain here. And Jesus says, no, a time is coming when the Father seeks those who worship him in spirit and in truth. Earlier in chapter 10, Jesus says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The good shepherd is not the one who gets the sheep through the gates the fastest. The good shepherd is the one who will sacrifice his life for the good of the sheep. Now, again, we're going to see in the later chapters, as Jesus eats the Passover with his friends, where they remember that a lamb is killed for every Jewish family, so the angel of death will pass over them. As they're remembering this story, Jesus says, this is my body. This is me. I am this sacrifice. So we have that Jesus is God, and we have this theme of sacrifice, of something having to be given up for something else. And then finally, opposition. The fact that people object, the fact that people want to fight all the way through. Just before the reading we had today, it says, the people surrounded him and asked, how long are you going to keep us in suspense? If you are the Messiah, tell us plainly. Now, I love going back and looking at what was written when it was written in Greek by John when he first put it. And that phrase, how long are you going to keep us in suspense, is literally, how long are you taking away our life? Literally what they're saying is, how long are you going to keep annoying us? It's not a question of, when can we find out? It's, when will you go away? When can we have had enough of you? And then through our story today, you see they pick up stones to kill him halfway through, and then they try and arrest him at the very end. There's just this constant theme going through of the opposition. You think back in chapter 2, Jesus clears the temple. He turns over the tables where they're exchanging money from people. So I've just seen that. I've chopped off the top of my head, so I'm very vain. And when Jesus disrupts the way they're making money in the temple, again, they start plotting. How do we get rid of this person? How do we stop this from happening? So you have these things of Jesus being God, of the theme of sacrifice, and the theme of opposition to what God is doing when it comes in this package, when it comes in Jesus. And they will come up again and again, and we will see them again in weeks to come. But there was a thing that puzzled me in the reading, and I had to try and understand it. When Jesus says, it's written in your own scriptures that God said to certain things of the people, I say you are gods. He says, why do you call it blasphemy when I say I'm the Son of God? After all, the Father set me apart and sent me into the world. And it's going back to one of the Psalms. And in those days, there was no idea. We talk about the fact there is only God. There are no other gods. Actually, in the psalmist day, in the Old Testament times, there were lots of gods. But as Teresa says in the Bible, they're described as gods with a small g, not a capital letter G. And so the Bible talks about God with a capital G. But every nation had its own gods, normally multiple gods, that it worshipped and that they served, they prayed to. And so Jesus is there saying, so my Father set me apart for this work. Now again, that phrase, set me apart, is a very specific word in Greek. It's the word that we translate sanctified, made holy. Now, I read that as like, something's not quite right, but I don't understand why. So people more clever than me have done a lot of research into it. And basically, Jesus is at the temple for this festival, the festival of Hanukkah. And the festival of Hanukkah celebrates the re-sanctifying of the temple. So the temple is where all the sacrifices are made. If you have sinned, you go to the temple, you offer a pigeon, a goat, a sheep, and they kill it. And killing that animal is in place of killing you. So your sin has been punished, but on this animal. So all of Jewish worship is here. But 150 years before Jesus, the king of Persia attacks Israel. He captures Jerusalem. And to show that he is the king, he offers sacrifices to his Persian gods in the Jewish temple. He desecrates it, he makes it unholy. And so you have a family, a group called the Maccabees. They rise up in rebellion and hugely outnumbered, but with God's strength, they rebel and they drive the Persians out of Jerusalem. But the temple has been ruined. How do you worship where other gods have been worshipped? So they re-sanctify, they re-consecrate the temple. And so Jesus is at a temple where, for a time, you couldn't worship God because it wasn't holy, it wasn't good. And now it has been made holy so they can sacrifice again. Because without the sacrifice, who takes the punishment for the sin? How can you stand close to God if your sins are just there and you're so aware of the guilt and the shame of them? And so 150 years before, the temple is made clean. It is sanctified. Jesus in verse 36 says, "The Father has sanctified me and sent me to carry out his work." So Jesus is not only saying, I am one with God. Jesus is saying he is the temple. He is saying all that you think about in terms of coming close to God, in terms of the sacrifice, so that you can feel free of your guilt, you can worship God in peace, that is me. I am the one who can bring you back into a relationship with the Father. And so, for these people listening, not only is Jesus saying what they think is blasphemy, I am God, Jesus is also saying all of this stuff at the temple, all of the animals, all of the buying and selling, the killing, the eating afterwards, because the priests have no land. The priests eat what they sacrifice. So there is a whole economy here based around sacrificing at the temple. And Jesus says, you don't need it. I'm here. And so these people who are so invested in the temple, in this way of coming close to God, Jesus comes and says, it's done. I'm here. I can bring you back into relationship with my Father in heaven. They are faced with a choice. They either choose Jesus and they lose everything they had before. All of the history at the temple, all of the business that supplies animals for sacrifice to the temple, all of that stuff, that goes. And so the people hear Jesus say, you don't need to make sacrifices. I will be the sacrifice. And they pick up stones to silence him, to throw them at his head, to kill him and have done. we are going to come back to these things, that Jesus is God, that God's way is one of sacrifice, and the fact that God's way faces opposition. Next week, the week after, the week after. This runs all the way through John's Gospel. The challenge for us today is to realise that God is simple. God says to us, I've done it. I am the sacrifice. Your sin is finished. Enjoy. Be friends with me. Let's live life together. But sometimes we say, no, my sin is bigger. You can't just take my sin. I have to pay for my sin. I have to hold it for a bit longer. I have to feel really guilty about my sin for a bit longer. Jesus says, no, it's done. Or we say, okay, but I have to, we have to have a church service that works this way, and I have to pray this way, and I have to sing this song, and then I can be close to you. And God says, no, I've done it. Just accept that I love you. Ask me to be with you, and we're there. Now, I'm a priest. My job is the complicated bits around organising church and getting us together. But ultimately, none of it matters. Jesus says, I have done it. Just receive forgiveness, peace, love. Just like that. We can't earn it. We can't pay for it. And for some of us, me included, that can be really hard. I don't want something for nothing. I want to have earned it, then it is mine. So no, God loves us so deeply. It is just done. It is just offered. And so our choice, like these people with their rocks, is whether we accept it or whether we don't. Let's pray. Jesus, thank you that you obey the Father in everything he asks you to do. Thank you that you came and you offered yourself as a perfect sacrifice so that we could be forgiven. Would you increase our faith that your love and your grace are enough, that we are forgiven, that we are loved, and that we are one with you and the Father and the Holy Spirit. We praise your name.